I'm Vin LeBate.
And I'm Melanie Dunn.
And this is Rare Candy,
a Pokemon podcast.
Last week we plumbed the depths of Mount Moon. Today, at long last, we are emerging into the sunlight onto Route 4. Yeah. Not a lot immediately going on Route 4.
Kung Fu trainer guys.
Yes, that's the first thing you'll notice when you come onto Route 4, is that there are two guys who are arguing about their Kung Fu. And they'll teach you some moves if you want them to.
I think these are the first move tutors we encounter in the game.
Yes.
Are they actually doing Kung Fu? Have we confirmed that? Or could it be karate or
Well, according to
jiu-jitsu?
The moves they teach you, they're actually normal type moves, so I guess they're just screwing around.
All right. And one of them really likes punching. I think we kind of touched on these guys because I jumped ahead. I'm a little bit ahead of you in the game. And one guy really likes punching, the other guy really likes kicking.
Yes. So you can learn from them Mega Punch or Mega Kick. These are normal type moves, as we mentioned, not fighting type moves, as I had thought earlier.
Yeah, and it took me a while, a little bit of gameplay to realize that you can go back to these people in the future, and they even warn you can only learn this once. Is that okay? And I'm like, yep, it's okay. Teach me right away. So I had actually made the decision to teach Pikachu, Mega Kick, which is kind of interesting for a Pikachu. And then Mega Punch I gave to somebody else who's not in my party right now. It might have been Nidoran, I'm not sure. Just because I felt compelled to do it, and I was thinking, like, I may not see these guys again, and then I realized, that's, you can save these for other more appropriate Pokemon later on, but oh well.
It is handy to have some hard-hitting normal type moves in your arsenal. The thing to note about these moves is that while they do hit hard, they don't have as much accuracy as some of your other more basic moves, like even like a tackle or a pound. So you do have more of a chance of missing.
Yeah, I think Mega Kick, is like 120.
Yeah, that's one of the most powerful hits in the game.
But the accuracy is only like 80. Actually, I can tell you right now because now I'm curious. Because what I want to know is, let me just pull up Pikachu again. Let's talk about this. So, oops. Now I'm at my Spearow. I'll get back there in a moment. Okay, Mega Kick is power 120, accuracy 75. Now, I haven't had a lot of problems using it, and I wonder if that's just because I've leveled up Pikachu kind of rapidly. He's now at level 28, so maybe your own Pokemon's level has something to do with it?
Well, 75 is, and essentially, accuracy is just a percentage. So 75 is 3/4 of the time. And if you're not dealing with Pokemon that have moves that change either your accuracy or their evasiveness, then 3/4 is a pretty good ratio.
Okay. Yeah, so I've had some success with Pikachu. I just now I'm wondering if I should have saved Mega Kick for one of the wimpier kind of normal types, but that's okay.
Yeah, sometimes it's good to have a mixed array of moves on a single Pokemon. We mentioned that last time, I think.
Yes.
Or a couple times ago. Time is a flat circle.
Yeah, so now I have a bunch of TMs that I am not using because I've sort of picked up on the fact that you can save these for more appropriate Pokemon later, and especially the ones that disappear after one use. You really want to make sure you use it the right way, I guess.
Yes. Speaking of those, you're going to find another one right here on Route 4. It's TM05 for the move Roar, which is handy because what it does is makes the enemy Pokemon flee the battle. It's good if you're just wandering around, you don't have any repels, but you don't feel like wading through a lot of Rattata fights. It's also handy in a match if you want to force your opponent to trade Pokemon. If they've got something that's disadvantageous for you, you can just say, get that out of here.
Yeah, I really need to see how that works because I still have this TM in my bag. I haven't used it yet. And I didn't really understand it until I saw a wild Pokemon use it on me, which, if I'm remembering correctly... Oh, you know what? I think I may be confusing it with Whirlwind, which just knocks you out and, like, you just it allows them to fly away or flee. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about a different one. But yeah, this is one of the, like, I need to see it visually in order to understand what it is. So I'm just going to wait until somebody uses it on me. I guess in battle, because wild is different. So I'm still having a hard time visualizing what that looks like.
Yeah, in an actual Pokemon battle, what it will do is force that Pokemon back into your hand and make you send out a new one.
Okay, and then if you try to send out the same one, it'll just say you cannot.
Right.
Okay, because it says here the foe is made to switch out with an ally, so that just confused me. Like, how do you know who's an ally?
Well, that's just any of your Pokemon.
Okay.
Or any of your opponent's Pokemon.
I see. I'm overthinking it, as usual. Okay.
Yeah. You don't have allied trainers nearby who are going to come in and lend a hand.
Yeah, I was like, ally? Like, what? Yeah, okay.
That would be interesting.
Overanalyzing. Should we talk about the other? Oh, no, we're going to come. I have a lot of TMs I'm holding on to now, but I'm a little bit further ahead in the game, so maybe we should wait to talk about those.
Yeah, we'll address those as they come up.
All right.
You can also find a couple other little items scattered up here. You should look around carefully if you're worried, because this is a path you're not going to be able to walk back.
Right, until you get Cut, which is an HM.
Yes, and which is going to take you a couple of cities still. So
I may have figured, maybe that's why I was so afraid I'd never see the karate kung fu guys again. I don't know if I knew that, or it just, I have this sense of urgency about Mega Punch and Mega Kick.
Yeah, well, especially when you're leaving Mount Moon and you're really worn down from the 10,000 Zubat fights and the array of Team Rocket guys on the last level, you really just want to get moving, so you're not necessarily thinking about the future properly.
Right. I was confused. I'm sorry.
But you can also find a Great Ball and some berries out here if you're not just charging through and jumping down the little cliffs and getting stuck forever.
Yes. I got some berries, I think.
Yeah, and there's also, towards the end, one little patch that you'll probably pass by until you hit a Pokemon Center because you've just come out of Mount Moon. But you can go back and you can get one Pokemon or another, depending on what version of the game you have, because we're looking at another set of exclusive Pokemon. So if you're playing Leaf Green like I am, you can get a Sandshrew, which is one of my favorites. And if you're playing Fire Red, you can get an Ekans.
Yeah, I really like Sandshrew too. It's yellow, it's cute, it's also a mouse Pokemon. It's just not an electric mouse. I was disappointed to learn that I was not going to be able to obtain one playing Fire Red.
No, we'll have to set up some trades in the near future. We didn't manage to get those in for this episode, but maybe next time we'll have a report for you guys on trading in this generation.
So, Vin, what did you name your Sandshrew?
I named him Elvis.
It's a pretty good name.
I have an extra one for you, but I won't tell you what its name is. You get to find out for yourself.
Oh, all right. So I'm going to get a pre-named Pokemon. I don't know how I feel about that, but that's okay. That's all right.
You're going to like it.
Trades are different. Okay. I'll like it a lot.
You don't have a choice.
So please pronounce the name of this Pokemon in Japanese for me.
Sandshrew?
Yeah.
Sando.
Okay, so there is an O. Is that a real O at the end, or is that because of the Japanese pronunciation of consonants that add more at the end?
Yes.
Is it the word sand?
Yeah, it's just the word sand.
But it comes out like sando.
Yeah, pronounced
Sanda.
using Japanese characters.
That's kind of uncreative of them.
It's not...
Way to be lazy, Japan.
It's not one of the most interesting or informative Japanese Pokemon names.
Yeah, and it really is kind of shrew-like, so I think Sandshrew is really, really appropriate of a name here.
Yeah, although it's actually more of a pangolin. Have you seen those guys? They sort of look like lizard anteaters.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, they're cool.
Wait, is this a real animal?
Yeah, it's a real animal. They're endangered.
Oh, wow.
They're sort of like anteaters, but they're covered in these thick scales. It's like you cross an anteater with an armadillo.
Oh, wow. That sounds kind of cute.
It is.
So it just so happens this past weekend when I was sick and just binge watching Pokemon because it's all I had the energy to do. I was back to watching season 1 of the show, and in one of the first few episodes, Ash and I think Misty and Brock meet AJ, who is this sort of rogue trainer. He has 98 wins and he has his own gym that's just, it says AJ's gym and it says not sanctioned by the Pokemon League. So he has his own operation here, and his goal is to get 100 wins before he goes out looking for real badges from real Pokemon gyms. And it's interesting because at first we think AJ is this kind of abusive Pokemon trainer because he makes Sandshrew and his other Pokemon wear have you seen it? They're wearing these like bondage gear looking like silver metal things, and Sandshrew, he keeps throwing him in the water and making him swim out, and Ash runs over. He's like, Sandshrew is weak in the water. He's like, that's the point, I'm training him. And you're like, oh no, poor Sandshrew. But then it turns out like Sandshrew really loves him, and it's just different training styles are okay as long as the Pokemon consent and are there not against their will.
Guys, it's all about consent.
Yeah, yes. Remember. With the bondage. I didn't mean the conversation to go there.
Affirmative consent.
Yeah, so that's a cartoon for kids. Yeah. Anyway.
But speaking of the cartoon, the other Pokemon you can catch here is Ekans, a Team Rocket favorite.
Yeah, I looked up the name, and maybe I knew this in the past, that Ekans is snake backwards. Because the Japanese is Arbo or Arbo.
Yeah.
And then Arbok, which is what he evolves into, is just adding a K at the end. So
and that's Cobra backwards.
Oh. Well, the K confused me, all right? That's supposed to be a C. But that's... Okay, so that's the Japanese name. So when they dubbed this thing or made the game for US release, did they just figure Arbo would sound too much like Arbok and that's going to confuse us all, or?
Yeah, and it sounds a little goofy.
All the names are a little bit goofy.
That's true. One translator's goofy is another translator's brilliant.
Yes. So I have two of these.
That's good, because you have to trade me one.
Yeah, I think I'm going to trade you the one I was going to trade.
And you also have to trade Eric one.
Yeah, so my husband Eric is playing Ruby on the Game Boy Advance, and we learned last week sometime that as of right now, because I haven't finished Fire Red, we cannot trade between Kanto region and his Hoenn. He's in Hoenn region. That's what Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald is. So we were unable to trade, but I caught that Ekans just for him. It was kind of annoying. In any event, so now I'm going to hold on to my extra one for now. We were able to battle. We can talk about that later, I guess, because that was a lot of fun.
How'd you do?
I won both battles because Charizard was already level 37 at that point, and I put him out and he goes, oh shit, just takes him back. But yeah, and then he gave me a lecture about leveling up too fast. Charizard, as of a few days ago, is now level 51.
Yikes.
I have a problem, but we'll go into that. Yeah, but we were able to battle. So trades, no, not right now, but battling was a lot of fun. It's a little slow because it's waiting for the other person to decide what they want to do. So it'll just say, waiting, whatever. But we had a lot of fun. It was cute to see the other Pokemon. So
yay.
Yeah, it was good. Should we talk more about Ekans? I was really struck by the Intimidate ability. That's something very useful to scare your opponent from having a stronger attack.
Yes. That's actually good against someone like Sandshrew, who deals largely with physical attacks. But you should always remember that it's attack and not special attack. So it's not going to save you from, say, some Pikachu lightning bolts.
Right, okay. Yeah, and I do enjoy the Poison Sting as well. I have a few other Pokemon now that can use poison, which is really handy, but I like that as an attack as well.
Poison, a woman's weapon.
Yes. Well, Ekans does belong to Jessie, right?
That's true.
Jessie loves her Ekans. Ekans does eventually evolve, but poor Ekans and Coughing. They're kind of, because they're associated with Team Rocket now on the show, they're sort of the butt of everyone's joke about crappy Pokemon, but I like them.
Yeah, nothing wrong with some poison.
It's their trainers who are to blame anyway for their incompetence.
Oh, everyone blames the trainers. But once you've caught your one Pokemon here, or if you're kind, 2 in order to trade. You can move on to Cerulean City.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on, and I spent a lot of time in and out of Cerulean City wondering which way to go next, and I kind of see it as 2 stages.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in Cerulean that you can't do yet.
Yeah, so you just need to wander around and figure out what you're supposed to do first. For me, I think I was so spooked by my first 2 losses to Brock that I waited a long time to take on Misty at the gym. So I remember doing that last before finally moving on.
Which is smart because Misty is another one of those trainers that is going to be a big problem for Charmander / Charmeleon / Charizard specifically.
Yeah, unless you're crazy like me and have like a level 40 whatever Charizard by that point, which took everyone out. I don't remember who else I used. I might have used Pikachu, but it was the exact opposite where she only has 2 of them. She has, we'll talk about this, but Staryu and Starmie. I was kind of expecting her to have more water, more water power, but yeah, it wasn't hard for me. But you want to talk about some of the earlier, some of the other routes and things and the things in and out of the city?
There's a couple stops here. Actually, quite a few that you won't really be able to take advantage of, but that you should make note of. The bike shop is there just to taunt you, because you could buy a bike if you somehow manage to save up $1 million Poké-Dollars by now. Literally 1 million.
Yeah, so the bike shop is just to confuse you right now.
Yeah, to tell you where you have to come later. There's also a guy that will give you a powder jar for your berries.
Yeah, So I don't get this. I got the powder jar. I have a whole plethora of berries now in my berry pouch. I have not found the thing that lets you make the berries into powder.
That's because it's inside one of the multiplayer rooms, so you can't access it on your own.
Okay.
It's in the upstairs of the Pokemon Center where you go to fight or trade.
Oh, okay.
So you have to connect to someone else, and then you guys can mash berries together, like an I Love Lucy episode.
Is that in the Coliseum where I was battling Eric the other night?
I think so.
But
I can't get in because I don't have a connection, but that's something that you guys can look into.
Yeah, because I did not even see that as an option, but maybe because we were just focused on battling, so I don't know. Well, poor old man is not getting any berry powder from me right now, that's for sure.
Yeah. But we'll come back to him later once we've mashed up some berries, and he can make us some poultices. There's also a gentleman who will trade you a Poliwhirl for a Jinx. You don't have a Poliwhirl yet because you can't fish, so we'll come back here later, and we'll probably have a fairly long talk about Jinx, since there's a lot of odd things to talk about.
Oh yeah, it's a really weird-looking one.
Yes. So once you've poked around town, you'll realize that there's not much you can do here. Although you did hear a lot about a guy named Bill. Everyone's talking about Bill.
Yeah, Bill is really, he's a local celebrity.
And since there's really only one way out of town right now, we're going to head off in Bill's direction, but of course we're going to get jumped right out the door.
Yeah, I think do we run into your rival first?
Yes.
For all the people on the bridge? Yeah.
Yep, it's Gary time.
Yeah, Gary / Blue / whatever you've chosen to name the guy you hate the most.
A. Burr.
Yeah, or the guy that hates you. I don't know. It's not really. I'm cool with Gary. He's fine. He's just a jerk to me.
Yeah, he's just kind of a sociopath.
Yeah. So he attempts to bludgeon you with 4 different Pokemon. We've got. I had thought this is the first time we see Pidgeotto. I'm actually not sure.
I believe it is, okay. Unless you've power leveled yours.
Right. Which. This is a question I have for you. Is it worth evolving your Pidgey into Pidgeotto?
Well, it is in the sense, you can always make use of anything that you put a lot of effort into, but it also is worth it because it fills in the entry in your Pokedex. So if you've got some spare time, you can level that guy up just to get the evolution.
That's a good point. Yeah, so in watching the anime again, rewatching it recently, Ash is really confused as a newish trainer when he can't catch Pidgeotto just by throwing a ball at it. So the show does a really good job of telling you how to play the game. So the first Pokemon that he catches independently is a Caterpie, which is extremely weak, so he's able to throw the ball and just catch it. And he's confused about why this doesn't work in Pidgeotto. And Misty just yells at him and says, you have to battle it first. So he sends Caterpie out to battle this bird Pokemon, not understanding why that's going to be problematic.
Because apparently he has not taken basic biology.
Well, the kid is obsessed with Pokemon, and you see in the first episode, everything in his room is Pokemon stuff. Like, you'd think he would have read up on this stuff. I don't know. Like, I don't know if all the local schools have a Pokemon curriculum, or if that's sort of a vocational education thing.
Well, there's no school in Pallet Town. Ash is homeschooled.
He must be homeschooled. Maybe, well, then you would think that Professor Oak would have been part of his instruction there, since he's the big hotshot educational kind of professional in town. I don't know.
I guess Professor Oak has just been closely guarding his scientific secrets. Yeah. Probably he's working on his patents before he tells Ash anything. Yeah,
so Ash is a pretty bad trainer in the beginning, but luckily he has Misty to guide him.
So if you manage to take down your rival, you get access to a bridge, which looks pretty quaint and pleasant, except that it's crawling with trainers who are actually working together as a team to try and knock you down a peg.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot about the specific... There's just a lot of them. They're all on that bridge.
Yeah, there's 5 in a row, and they promise you that if you can take them down, they'll give you a nugget, which is more impressive than it sounds, we promise.
Yeah, because nugget is worth lots of cash money.
Yes. And it is a pretty intimidating and grueling battle right in front of you until you realize that you can just walk back to the Pokemon Center in between every fight and be fresh and ready to go for the next one.
Yeah, because by now you've learned that once you battle somebody, they just stand there kind of harmlessly and you can talk to them and they'll keep telling you the same thing. It's funny later on when you go to Team Rocket's hideout, we'll talk about that in the distant future, but when they're like, you'll never get through this place, kid, but they're just standing there and not alerting their boss or doing anything to stop you because you've already beaten them.
There's a lot of warrior etiquette going on in the Pokemon world.
Yeah. So you get through the bridge, and I think you do encounter one Team Rocket grunt.
Yeah, that last guy who's supposed to just hand you the nugget turns out to be a Team Rocket grunt who has apparently been manipulating this bridge full of trainers to his own ends.
Okay, so that's what's going on. Yeah, I was wondering if they were affiliated with him or just there randomly. I think that was missed on me.
Yeah, he's the guy who's holding their nugget. That's a weird sentence.
But he wants you to join Team Rocket, and there is no option for you to say yes, so don't worry about the ethical dilemma here. It's just you won't say yes. And then he gives you the nugget anyway, so I don't know if that was supposed to be an incentive, and then...
Well, you did beat him, so...
He's like, I have to give you this nugget, but you should really join Team Rocket. But I'll give you the nugget anyway. So, good on you, I guess. Yeah, we didn't talk about the fame checker that Gary drops. Maybe because it's, I don't know, it's not really important in my game, but...
Yeah, the fame checker is one of those, I suppose you'd call it a quality of life item, that you can just look at and see just check in on the gossip that you've heard.
Yeah, and he makes some snide comment too, like, oh, I don't care about celebrities, but that's something kind of stupid and trivial that you'd be into, so you can have this. I kind of took offense at that.
Yeah, but it does make sense to get it here because one of the first things you'll see is all those things that you just heard about Bill.
Oh, right. So you want to know what the buzz is. We know Bill is some kind of pokemaniac, but he's like a cool one. He's not like those guys in bad cosplay that you encounter later just standing around.
No, Bill's cosplay is much better.
Yes. Let's talk about him. It takes a while to get out to his house on the Cape.
Yes, because after this bridge of trainers, even if you're not poking around for new Pokemon in the grass, there's another little trainer maze that you have to get through. It does get pretty tough.
Should we name... Is this Route 25 we're talking about now?
This is Route 25.
Yeah, so there's more trainers. There's some new...
Right, so there are actually 9 trainers waiting to knock you down on Route 25, although you can skirt your way around a couple of them if you're careful.
Yeah, I'd skirt my way around Chad. I don't trust anyone named Chad.
That's fair. But if you can manage to get through, you are picking up a couple thousand Poké-Dollars there. And you can finally get to the legendary House of Bill, where you step inside and find a weird-looking Clefairy.
Yeah, I didn't get at first that was a Clefairy. It just looks like this mangled thing. And he's like, I spliced my genes somehow, and...
Yeah, Bill has pulled a straight-up Jeff Goldblum and flied himself into a Clefairy.
Yeah, and for some reason, he's like, just go over to my computer and it'll fix it. And you're like, cool, okay, that's normal. And you totally do. And then this will never be discussed again.
Yeah, well, it's a teleportation device that Bill has invented. For some reason, as a pokemaniac, he's decided to invent a teleportation device and fused his DNA with that of a Clefairy.
Like, what was he going to do if you hadn't just wandered in randomly at that point? Would he be stuck as Clefairy? And Clefairy is sort of humanoid. I mean, can't he just go over and... I don't know. It's
sort of got paws. He would just, like, mash the buttons.
Yeah, so you rescue Bill and restore him to his normal human self.
And he'll give you a reward that's going to be useful, again, 2 towns away. It's the SS ticket, which is for a ship. Guys, it's for a ship and not for a Hitler Youth rally.
Oh, right, because, it doesn't say the SS Anne, which is the name of the ship. At this point, it just says SS ticket. I just picked up on that fact. But yeah, it's going to be essential to your quest, so hold on to that.
You also learn that the PC that you've been using to store your Pokemon belongs to Bill and not the Secretary of State, Timely Humor.
Yeah, so this is where... you are no longer, when you log on at the Pokemon Center, you're no longer using someone's PC, you're using Bill's PC. I mean, I don't know, this seems to be public knowledge anyway, so I don't know why, because everyone else knows who he is and that he's the famous inventor of this Pokemon data storage system.
Yeah, news doesn't really reach Pallet Town, I think.
Yeah.
You're just an ignorant kid from the sticks at this point.
All right, well, that's the answer to that.
But... now that you're done with Bill, you might take a few minutes to poke around in those patches of tall grass and locate a few more new Pokemon. We'll find another pair of exclusives. So you found an Oddish?
I did. Yeah, I like my little Oddish. I mean, they're deceptively cute because they can kill you dead because of this absorb power and combined with the poison powder, which really... I hate being poisoned, and my Pikachu is a relatively weak defense, so he gets poisoned, like... all the time. Like, he's going to get poisoned.
Yeah,
like, I don't even have to put him out. He will be poisoned somehow.
It's sad when you're walking around with a poison Pokemon and the screen keeps squawking at you.
Yeah, so, but I like my Oddish. You get kind of sick of them after a while. There's a lot of them in Fire Red, exclusive to Fire Red. I was disappointed to not be able to get Bellsprout because somebody, one of those lasses has a Bellsprout or two, so you got to fight them.
Bellsprout is the flower Pokemon, but it does not actually have a flower.
Oh, it doesn't? What's that thing on what's its head made out of?
It's a pitcher. It's like a pitcher plant.
Oh, all right, so there's no flower. That's interesting. I thought his head was a flower.
But it's not. So now you've got an Oddish or Bellsprout, which might help you with Misty, if you are willing to take some time to level them up. But if you poke around a little bit more, you might be able to find an Abra.
Yeah, Abra was really hard to catch because this is the first one I've encountered that runs away from you pretty consistently. Like, Abra wants nothing to do with you.
He does not. So you've really got 2 options. You can try and hit it with a sleep ability, in which case you better be using a Pokemon that's fast because Abra's quick and he's going to get to act first.
Right, and he will almost always teleport away first chance he gets. I don't remember how I caught mine. I'm pretty sure I used Pikachu and I used whatever he used to have, Thunder Wave, the one that just...
something with paralysis.
Yeah, it's really weak and it just paralyzes your foe. Although that doesn't always work. I mean, sometimes when your opponent is paralyzed, she can still do certain moves, so I was afraid Abra could still teleport, but I was just quick enough to catch this one.
Yeah, paralysis is a roll of the dice move. Your opponent may or may not be able to act on any given turn.
Because teleport is also a psychic move, so being physically paralyzed may not matter.
Oh, it
I'm
does.
not really sure. It does?
Paralyzed just removes your ability to act for a turn. It doesn't matter what you're trying to do.
Huh, okay.
It's just a random chance as to whether or not it's going to trigger.
Yeah, so I like my Abra. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. Yeah, other than he was useful for a while to teleport away, if you're in a dungeon or something, you don't have an escape rope or you don't want to use one up. That's an ability you can use out of battle, which is very handy.
Yes. You can also catch Abra just by throwing Pokeballs at it and hoping for the best, which worked for me on the first shot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got real lucky on that one. So I caught an Abra, I named it Gruyere after the cheese.
Does that depend on the level of the Abra, perhaps?
Yeah, it probably does. I think I caught a pretty low-level one. But now that you've gathered your Pokemon and gotten your SS ticket and learned about the magic of computers, you can head back to town, and theoretically you can even leave town, because there's one more building here that's been blocked off by the cops, and now it's finally open.
Oh, right. Now, don't you have to battle the Team Rocket guy who's hanging out in the backyard?
Yes, if you do go through this building, you will have some fights on your hand.
And the police force in this town are pretty terrible, that you have the police guarding the front door saying, we need to catch the guy who burglarized this house. And that guy is standing outside and a 10-year-old kid is able to defeat him.
Well, it seems like the police don't have any Pokemon, so they can't really do anything about it.
So you battle Team Rocket guy. But you walk through the house, and the man who lives there tells you that Team Rocket must have broken in and stolen, I forgot which TM.
Dig.
It's Dig. And he said, I was going to teach it to my Sandshrew or somebody. And then you walk out through the big hole, gaping hole in the back, and the guy is, he has returned to the scene of the crime, or perhaps never left. And you battle him, and you get the TM. And then you don't have to feel guilty about keeping it, because if you go back in and talk to the guy, because I was going to return it, am I supposed to get rewarded? He doesn't really acknowledge that you have it. He just kind of gives you the story about how he's like, well, I'm just going to give up on what I lost and focus on other parts of my life that are more positive. So it's totally cool for you to keep the stolen goods.
He's very accommodating.
Yeah. If he even knows that you have it. I'm still not clear on that. But
Yeah,
you're just going to walk away.
It's good that you went back and talked to him. Otherwise, the police would grab you if you went back out the front door.
Right.
They would not actually do that.
So did you end up using Dig?
Oh, yes. That's one of the first things I always do is teach Dig to my Sandshrew, because Dig is a great move for two reasons. One, you can eventually use it outside of combat, and it works, again, like an escape rope, much like Teleport that we were just talking about. And it's also a move that uses 2 turns, like some other moves like Fly will do, where your Pokemon burrows down into the ground and is untouchable for a turn.
Yeah, I really like that.
And then pops out and does a lot of damage.
I ended up teaching Dig to my Paris, which at this point I'm not sure if I had yet.
Yes, you did.
I did? Okay.
Paris is from Mount Moon.
Oh, that's right. See, I have so many now, I can't keep them straight.
You should listen to the show.
Well, I do, and still it's just, it falls out of my head. So I taught Paris Dig, and I quite enjoyed that. And now I have a Diglett, so that's for the future. But Diglett comes with Dig.
It's got Dig in the name.
Right. So now I'm not sure, should I keep Paris using Dig? I don't know. I quite like the attack, because I like the whole untouchable thing when you're buried in the ground. So.
Yeah, Dig is great.
It's pretty powerful, too.
I endorse Dig.
We dig.
You heard it here first. So we can continue on, but probably we should go back and take care of the sword that's hanging over our head, and that is Misty.
Oh, right. So you walk into the gym, and you encounter some of her... I think there's two gymnasts,
gym lackeys.
Gym flunkies, lackeys that you have to fight first. And I did not keep a record of who had what, but I think there's a horsey in here, there's a shelter, And there's a Goldeen.
Yes, there's a lot of water-type Pokemon. So probably we should take a second to talk about those guys. Water-type Pokemon take half damage from fire, ice, steel, and water, which again is going to be at least a speed bump for your Charmander. But they take double damage from grass and electric, aka what I'm carrying.
Okay, so electric makes sense to me intuitively. How does grass factor in here?
Grass drinks up water.
Oh, okay. All right, I can see it.
And the water-type moves will do double damage to fire, ground, and rock types, and half damage to grass, water, and a dragon. You don't have a dragon. Mm-hmm. And water-type moves fall into the special category.
All right, so you battle the flunkies, you get to Misty. So Misty is another Pokemon anime character who has been made quite famous because of her pivotal role in supporting Ash, aka Red, whatever you want to call him. And in the anime, she appears before Brock does when we talked about how Ash is catching his first Pokemon, wandering around. He meets her... I don't know, at some point they're introduced. For a while, she's just the girl whose bike he stole to try to rush Pikachu to the Pokemon Center when he was in really bad shape. And at some point, he doesn't learn until, I think, the third or fourth episode in, when he gets to Cerulean, that she is the gym leader there. And actually, in the anime, Misty has this backstory about how she is the runt of her litter, being the fourth sister. Her three older, beautiful superstar sisters are known as the Sensational Sisters, and they really don't care about being gym leaders. They have sort of converted the gym into this sort of celebrity swan diving thing, and they just wear cute outfits and act like mermaids, basically. So Misty disappears when Ash and Brock announce that they're going to head into Cerulean City, and she clearly does not feel comfortable with being there and doesn't want to be there. She disappears for a while. Ash tries to battle the Sensational Sisters, who reply by just handing him the Cascade Badge and saying, look, we don't do this battling thing anymore. We have a Goldeen to take care of or whatever, and we just don't care. This pisses off Misty because she says, no, I'm going to reclaim, I am the fourth Sensational Sister, and they just laugh at her. They're kind of mean. The older sisters are kind of jerks. They're like, well, you're not pretty, so you might as well be a good Pokemon trainer. You gotta have something going for you. So she takes on Ash. And now here's the interesting thing. Something happens with the plot here where they get interrupted, I think, by Team Rocket, so they don't actually finish the match, but he earns the badge anyway. And I could tell you the story about Brock and Pewter City. There's a similar story. But again, Ash is kind of a sucky trainer in the beginning. He just gets his badges handed to them, but because he saves them or something.
Ash gets by on white privilege.
Yeah. I think Pikachu saves the day because something happens with Team Rocket Team Rocket comes in with a giant hose and sucks out all the water in an attempt to steal all the cool water type Pokemon, and one of Ash's Pokemon, maybe it's not Pikachu, I'm not sure now, but intervenes, and for that Misty's older sisters say, give Ash the Cascade Badge because he's our friend and he saved us, and because reasons. So that's that story.
Yes. So Misty is using a pair of Pokemon that you haven't seen anywhere else, Staryu and Starmie, which are the starfish Pokemon, and which have a little bit of psychic mixed in. If you are, again, using fire types, it's going to be a little tricky. If you are using, say, an Ivysaur and a Pikachu, it's going to be real easy.
Yeah.
Even Pikachu will just mow through these guys, no problem.
Yeah, I think Pikachu did help me a lot at this point. With defeating Misty, but I had no trouble with her. I'm not even sure I took a hit, so because I came in very prepared.
Yes. So once you've defeated Misty, she'll give you that Cascade Badge and a TM.
Oh yeah, she gives you a TM. I have it right here. I'm going to take a look. It is a powerful water. It's Water Pulse.
Water Pulse.
Yeah.
That's one of your high-end water moves that most likely you are not going to be able to use at the moment because the only water Pokemon you might even have is Magikarp.
Yeah, and I think at this point I did not even have Magikarp yet.
I suppose if you power leveled it into a Gyarados, you might have a use for that Water Pulse, but...
Yeah, I'm about to do that. Not right now, but maybe later on today. Because I have that thing I can't pronounce. Gyarados?
Gyarados.
It sounds like a Greek, like a pita, delicious pita bread kind of dish, but
Guys, don't eat your Gyarados.
Yeah, even though it's tasty, it is scary looking. It will cut you. But yeah, it evolves from Magikarp at level 20, so that's exciting. But no, I haven't taught him Water Pulse yet. I think I'm going to, because I don't have any water Pokemon.
Yeah, so that's a good use for Water Pulse once you get there. Now that we've defeated Misty, we can actually progress on our journey, although the most obvious route out of town to the south is blocked by one of those tiny little trees.
Right. Now, are we talking about... We're talking about Route 5,
yes.
Correct?
Yeah, the direct route through the southern fence is obstructed. And you can also go over there and chat with a little girl who's having trouble raising her Slowpoke.
All right. Okay.
Because she doesn't have enough badges and it's just not listening.
Right. I guess it's sort of an omen for the future.
Yes.
I think that was directed at me specifically.
Yep. So instead, you're going to want to loop back up through that trashed, police-cordoned house and head on out and south onto Route 5. Route 5 actually has two very different paths through it. If you go down either side, it's just a straight shot with nothing in it. But if you go down the middle, you'll hop down a bunch of little cliffs through some tall grass. And in the tall grass, you can find another Team Rocket favorite, Meowth.
Yeah, and he's not only a favorite, but he's kind of a member of Team Rocket. Not really sure how he got the job, and this is where I never saw the whole anime. I have to watch it again from the beginning and see what I missed. But he's got a whole very interesting backstory. And for anyone who's watched the show, you know what stands out to you immediately is that Meowth can talk, communicate with humans, and not just by saying his name over and over again, but he can actually talk to you. He's got like some kind of like New York accent going on too.
Yeah, I think in Japanese it's a Kansai accent.
Yeah, so at some point, not right away, but at some point later on in the show, Meowth will tell the audience the story about how he can't use the move Payday, which is the attack that produces coins and lets the trainer collect the coins.
It's the Meowth signature move.
Yeah, the signature move. He cannot use it. He never learned it because learning how to walk on two legs and how to talk used up his move slots, so he cannot. Which implies that if he were to learn Payday, he'd lose his ability to talk or walk, perhaps, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's tough to be a talking Pokemon. Mm-hmm. There's a lot that you have to sacrifice.
Well, there's another episode later, and I think it may be in one of the later seasons, I don't remember when, but where he goes to some island where the islanders all worship a talking Meowth who was prophesied that one day would come to them. But the whole purpose of this is so that he could enrich their failing economy by using Payday and producing coins, which Meowth cannot do. And hilarity ensues. Yeah, and it becomes a sentimental moment where he took a break from Jesse and James because he was just done with them, or they were mean to him or something, and then they find him and they were like, "We love you, Meowth, come back," and they're good friends, and it's very touching. I don't remember how it resolves, but he leaves that island. Anyway, I have a Meowth. I don't name any of my Pokemon, so I really like the pickup ability. It's all he's picking up so far. Oh, mine is female. All she's picking up so far are berries, which, I'm not playing that berry game. But it's still fun. I enjoy getting multiple. I think I have like 9 or 10 different kinds of berries now.
And you can use them.
What do you use them for? How do you know?
Most berries will do some basic healing. If you give them to a Pokemon to hold, they will sometimes use them in battle.
By like slinging them at your opponent? And
No, they'll eat them.
Oh, okay. Because that would be cool if you could just throw the berry and just like bury your opponent.
Yeah, there are some Pokemon that get moves that do that, but your Pokemon will mostly just eat them and you'll get a little free health bump.
But does it tell you what the berries do? I'm looking Oh, yeah, look at that. Cherry Berry. When held by a Pokemon, it will be used in battle to heal paralysis. Chesto Berry. When held by a Pokemon, it will be used in battle to wake up. Oh, these are all really useful. And here I am just, like, putting them in my little bag, wondering what I'm going to give the guy is berry powder. Okay, this is, like, really useful. Okay, I should have read this earlier.
Berries, guys.
Yeah, it's something about those antioxidants. I mean, the science is correct.
Yes.
At least in Pokemon world. I don't know about the real world.
They're a superfood.
Mm-hmm. They're going to make... Wait, we're going to encounter an acai berry. Yeah, that my dad is always talking about and putting in, like, matcha or whatever trendy thing he likes to drink these days.
And so now you've got a Meowth and a pocket full of berries. You can continue down this little route and end up at a house. And this house belongs to the Pokemon Daycare Center, where you can leave a Pokemon and have it very slowly level as you travel around the world.
Yeah, and this daycare and the man who runs it is expensive and arrogant, like real-life daycares. Just kidding. No, we loved our daycare, infant daycare, when Mackenzie and Aurelia were in it. It was really expensive, though. The only difference with that, the real-life daycare is you may fall behind on your tuition payments, but they will give you back your children at the end of the day. But this guy will not give you your Pokemon back unless you agree to pay him. And if you say no, he's like, fine, I'll just keep holding on to your Pokemon. Charge you interest. See you whenever.
I dropped off John Ralphio the Magikarp, so hopefully he'll be a little closer to Gyarados status.
Yeah, it's probably a less annoying, more expensive but less annoying way to evolve your Magikarp.
Yes. The thing to bear in mind if you're dropping off Pokemon is that you won't be able to control their move learning. So when they get to a level where they learn a new move, they'll just learn it and replace one of their existing moves at random.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
So Magikarp can only learn, I think, a total of 3 moves anyway.
Oh, is that so?
Yep.
Oh, until he evolves, then.
Yep, so I don't have to worry about him learning anything or replacing anything important because he won't be able to fill up his slots anyway.
Yeah, no, you can only drop off one Pokemon at a time, right?
That appears to be the case.
Okay, because I dropped off Paris for a while because I really liked Paris and wanted him to evolve. I feel like I did drop off somebody else for a while. I just don't remember who it was. But it's pretty useful. Then I worried about how far away I would wander from the daycare and how long I would be and what the bill was going to be when I got back.
In other later Pokemon games, you'll be able to use the daycare as your breeding center. So you'll drop off 2 Pokemon and hopefully they will breed. But in this game, we won't be able to do that till much later. So for the time being, you'll drop off your 1 Pokemon to get all the attention, and then you can hop off the cliff and head on down to the next route, except that you can't because the road is closed.
Right, you can go in and talk to the guard who will tell you that he's thirsty. And I wonder if that's a clue for future... I don't know. He just tells you he's thirsty, and then he's like, oh wait, what was I doing? I'm a guard here. Yeah, you can't go through.
For now, we have to take the secret underground route, which is just a really long tunnel, which I have to assume is kind of gross.
Yeah. So I've been taking this... I took this road back and forth a few times, and this is actually before I went back to beat Misty. Are there things you're supposed to be picking up in this path that I just totally missed?
Apparently there are. There are hidden items on the path. I have gone through it once or twice and haven't managed to find any yet.
Like you have to turn and hit A at the right area or something?
Apparently.
Okay. We should go back and do that at some point. Perhaps I will. Although I'm nowhere near there now, so...
Yeah, it's mostly healing items, so it's nothing you can't buy. But if you do feel like spending a lot of time poking at nothing and occasionally finding a potion, this is the place to do it.
I kept expecting somebody to jump me, but no, there's nobody there, no trainers or anything.
No, it's completely empty and devoid of life.
Right.
Although there is, at the entrance we just went through, the little girl we mentioned probably a couple weeks ago now, who will trade Nidorans with you.
Right, depending on which game. If you have the male, she'll look for a female. If you have the female, she'll look for a male.
Yeah, so it's a good way to round out your Pokedex if you don't have anyone who wants to trade poison rabbits with you.
Right, and you haven't done this, right?
I have not.
Okay, neither have I, because I think we agreed we're going to trade.
Yes.
At some point. So little girl misses out here.
Sorry, little girl. Maybe I'll go back and catch one for you. But once we get through, we emerge onto Route 6, which will take us on to Vermilion City.
Oh, yeah, I do that too. Vermilion.
Next week. If you guys are enjoying the show, please subscribe to us on iTunes, leave a rating, leave a review. That's going to go a long way to helping us build an audience. Tell your friends if you've got Pokemon friends or friends who just need someone to listen to.
You probably don't have Pokemon friends unless you have a very rich imagination. You probably have friends who enjoy Pokemon, however. Or maybe you don't because you're grown up, unlike us. No, just kidding. For updates and other fun stuff, please follow us on all the social media, by which I mean 3 accounts we have going right now. Facebook, facebook.com/Rare Candy Podcast, and on Instagram @Rare Candy Podcast, and on Pinterest, pinterest.com/Rare Candy Pod, not cast. Why is that, Vin?
Because Pinterest doesn't allow names that long.
Okay, so Rare Candy Pod, do not be confused.
But you can also email us at rarecandypodcast@gmail.com with your questions, your corrections, your Pokemon stories, your angry rants. And remember, all girls leave home someday.
It said so on TV.